everyone, and welcome to the Pick Me Up, the show where we are brewing a better lifestyle, one podcast at a time, and I'm your host, Eva Curie. Don't forget to head to the Instagram at the Pick Me Up Pod, subscribe to the YouTube page, which is the name of the show, and subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. So, today we are chatting with a wonderful woman who really has truly lived 1,000 lives, and we're getting into all of them. She is a former professional golfer, philanthropist, and a 3-time reality television show competitor who has become a confidence and mindset coach, motivational speaker, masterclass founder, and host of the Decide It's Your Turn podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Christina Lecuyer from Arkansas. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show.
Eva, I'm so excited. I apologized in the beginning because I was like, I don't know enough about you. And so I wanted to take 10 minutes to kind of get to know you before we recorded this. And I'm obsessed already, like someone your age, like a senior in college. And, I don't even want to tell you how old I am, but a senior in college who is already into the mindset, already into self-development, wanting to learn from others and the confidence, all of the things. I'm truly obsessed and I'm so grateful to literally get to be here today. And I'm honored that I was telling you before we even push record, and I want to tell your audience this, most people whenever there's a roadblock, most people go, oh, okay, they're too busy or they won't follow up or whatever it is. One of the biggest interviews I ever got, and I know we're diving into all the things already, but one of the biggest interviews I got in the beginning of my career was when I wanted the author of the book, The One Thing, Jay Papasan, to be a guest speaking in my mastermind. And I remember reaching out to him online, and he's a world-renowned million-selling book author. And I remember reaching out to him, and he's like, yeah, for sure. Send me an email in 6 months. I might be able to do it. And so I literally wrote it down in my book. I was like, I am emailing him 6 months from the day. So I emailed him again.
Flipping to assignment notebook. Yeah.
Exactly. I was like, okay, I'm emailing him again. And then he was like, okay, reach out to my assistant. And then my assistant, he pushed me 4 or 5 times down the line. And I finally was like, it almost took 8 months to get him to speak to my group. But I remember him telling the group, he said, one of the reasons why I'm actually here today is because I really don't know you and I really don't have time for this, but you went through every roadblock to get here. And that seems to be the case that you dealt with me, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I forgot to fill that form out. I forgot to schedule that. And I forgot to literally fill out the form that you asked me to fill out. And I just want to give you huge props, because that's half the battle of getting someone to do, to do your show. And most people would have, not the lack of confidence, but most people would have said, oh, you know what, she's not going to do it, on to the next one. And you kept pursuing, and I'm so grateful that I'm here.
Oh my God, that's so kind of you to say. Thank you so much. Yeah, I mean, just from past experiences, it is really about like pushing it and pursuing it without being irritating. So it's finding that happy medium. And I'm so glad we are here right now and chatting. And I have a feeling this is going to be a pretty classy interview. I'm very, very excited about it.
Me too. Let's dive right in.
Fabulous. So coffee question, the pick me up. That's just what we're here for. Your go-to coffee beverage in the morning, afternoon, evening, whenever.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So it's so interesting. My assistant was coming into town a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the same thing. And she's like, oh, what do you drink? And I was like, okay, this is my standard. This will never change. In the morning, I am a 1.5 to a 2-cup person. It is just black coffee with nut pods, nut pod creamer, which is
interesting. Okay.
Life. It's so delicious. Did you get? Yeah, nut pods creamer is what I'm obsessed with. So I do either the vanilla or the caramel, nothing else. And then in the afternoon, I am a person who likes some sort of cold coffee. I'm kind of on the kick of an iced coffee with a pinch of cream and a pinch of honey. But I can never drink cold coffee in the morning. It has to be hot coffee in the morning, cold coffee in the afternoon. Sometimes I could do hot coffee in the afternoon, but there was no chance in hell I'm drinking cold coffee in the morning. So I'm very standard.
I love that. I'm more of an iced coffee person, just because just hot coffee is just slightly too bland for me, and ice just makes it a little bit more fun. But that is you got it down. You have a system. I'm so here for it. That's awesome. Before we get into meat of your fabulous career and your crazy life, I do have to ask, as someone who is a self-proclaimed reality TV show fan, what shows were you on that you were competing in? That's so cool.
I love it. Yeah, for sure. So I was on 3 reality television shows and I hosted some shows on Fox Sports. But if you know anything about golf, you probably know about the show. But if you don't know anything about golf, you've literally never heard of it. It was one of the biggest series on Golf Channel at like ever ran. It was called The Big Break. Yeah, I was on it in 2009 and then again in 2011. And then I think I want to say like I want to say like maybe 15 or 16, they did a show that really never got off the ground. We did one series of it in Las Vegas called Shot Makers. So I was on Big Break twice and then a show called Shot Makers, all on the Golf Channel. And then I hosted some golf shows here and there, like on Fox Sports and Golf Channel and stuff like that. But those were the reality shows. So if you know golf, you know those. But if you do not watch golf, you have no idea what those are.
I have heard of all of them. So
very cool.
That is just so cool that you were on those. I saw that. I'm like, no shot, no dice. Like that's awesome though. Yeah. So let's get into your story. So it's super fascinating. And like, you're someone who clearly has like a lot of passions and a lot of pursuits, and you've gone on to manifest them through your brand and through your career that you've made. So what is your story and how did you get to where you are today?
Yeah, super cool. Okay, so I was originally from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I now live in Arkansas. I've been down here, gosh, it's so crazy to believe, but I've been down here almost 19 years now. Came down here in 2002. I was a late comer to golf. So I grew up in Canada, a normal family. My dad was in the golf industry. I started golf really late in life, but I tell this story that 2 things happened to me when I was 18. That's kind of funny, but kind of serious at the same time. Is one, when I was 18, I got really good looking. I went backpacking. I graduated high school.
Love it.
Graduated high school, went backpacking, came home, and I got my hair colored, maybe lost a couple pounds, and I looked pretty good. So that was the first thing that happened at 18. And then the second thing that happened at pretty much the exact same time was I took up the game of golf and I got really good really fast. So at 18 years old, by immediately like looking a certain way and getting good at something, I had a lot of attention turned on me. Everyone was like, you're so good looking, you're so good at this, like your life's going to be amazing, all the things. And it's not that I never had attention growing up, but all of a sudden it was like a big wave of attention to me. And guess what? As an 18-year-old, you like that. And so for the next, I'd say about 9 to 10 years, I became addicted to the external validation. How can I get more attention? How can I get more atta girls? How can I get more golf clubs? How can I get more television shows and more clients and more opportunities? And I got really sucked into a really bad, about 9-10 year period of being addicted to the external validation. I thought to myself, okay, how do I get better at golf? And so I pushed myself to the absolute extremes. I didn't love golf by any means. I loved the attention that golf gave me, and I liked the competitive nature. I was definitely looked at for my looks. And so my thought process in my head is, how can you get thinner? How can you get prettier? And so I had a horrible eating disorder. I went down a really bad spiral for about 8 to 9 years. And I was probably 27 years old, where I had just competed in LPGA Q School for 3 years in a row. I thought my life was going one direction because everyone told me the minute you get on the LPGA tour, you're going to be so happy. And I kept chasing that thing that was going to make me happy. And I was getting more unhappy by the day. And I remember it was like, yesterday I was 20 years old. I was ironing in a back bedroom at 2:00 after, failing Q School for the 3rd year in a row. I probably made myself throw up 10 times that day. And I thought, what the fuck was happening to my life? And I kind of hit that rock bottom moment where I said, I have way more in life than most people do, and I'm extremely unhappy. So what does someone else know that I don't? And that's how I got into self-development. I was trying to heal myself. I knew that if I didn't make some changes, bad things were going to happen. And so I just kind of truly just said, enough's enough. How do I change this? And for the last 12 years, 10 to 12 years, I've been on a journey of self-development. And the first about 5 years was really about healing myself. But along the way, you start to change and people kind of wonder like, hey, what's going on there? Like, what are you doing? All the things. And that's how my business organically started. Was I changed my life and others wanted to know how they could do the same. I went from, truly, I always say I went from not really caring what the day looked like and wishing the day be over. And now I wake up at 4 a.m. because I truly believe I have the greatest life ever because I've decided it. So yeah, that's it. That's it in a nutshell.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. That's crazy that you like oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm just trying to unpack all of that. And like, wow, that's really amazing. Was there, what was that aha moment? You said it was that 2 a.m. you were ironing. Like, what was that motive or that like little like burst of inspiration to kind of get you out of that really dark place that you were in order to kind of like grow your brand? And you had said it like kind of started organically, but was there an aha moment? Was there an epiphany while you were ironing at 2 a.m, or did it just like happen through many years?
Yeah, it was actually ironing at 2 p.m. And the reason why I
Oh,
point out
afternoon. I thought
the reason why I point out the difference is I think that I expected to be in such a different place. It's like a Tuesday afternoon at 2 o'clock and I'm fucking ironing. Like I never expected to be there. I expected to have greatness in my life. I expected to, I don't know if it was a job or playing on tour or, whatever. I did not expect to be so unhappy, not doing something that I absolutely love to be doing and making an impact. I'm now, it's so interesting because now I'm a success and confidence coach and I'm extremely confident. Obviously we all have bad days and there's not every moment of the day that I'm super confident, but it's like back then people would have thought I was confident. I was externally confident. I think the difference between then and now is the fact that I am now internally confident. Like I am confident in who I am and what I do and how I'm showing up in the world. And I think for me, like kind of like the moment was, I knew I was sick. I knew that was definitely, you can't struggle with an eating disorder for that long and hating yourself. Just really, honestly, I hated myself. I was so mean. And the thing is that so many people understand this, if there's going to be one person listening to this podcast that goes, holy fuck, I feel the exact same way. Right. All of us hide it so well. And I was doing something that everyone else wanted me to do, because the world told me I was going to be happy and successful if I played golf and got on the LPGA, right? It's not like it's anyone else's fault, but we all get sucked into that. Guys get sucked into it because, a lot of guys look at the titles and the money and all the things like, when I get this, I'll be happy. What I have come to find out, and I definitely help so many people with, is like, when this happens, I'll be happy is the exact opposite. It's like you actually become happy and then everything else seems to fall into place. But you really have to truly understand that when this happens, now put yourself in the story. When I lose 10 pounds, when I make $1 million, when I get that job, when I get that boyfriend, when I get this, when I get that, that's actually not when happiness comes. And it's so hard for people to understand that when they're trapped in the cycle. And for myself, it was really getting myself out of the cycle of believing like, when this happens, I'll be happy. It's like, no, how do you become happy? And then all of a sudden things seem to work out for you.
Absolutely. You got to find that happiness on the journey. You can't find it at that destination. And especially like, what you were saying, like when I have a boyfriend, when I'm going to lose those 10 pounds, like, I mean, sure, you can like find that happiness and be like, I guess at like the top of how you've been feeling, but like, it's about self-discovery and it's about figuring out how you can become the best version of you. And that's what's going to make you happy. And it's so funny because I was having this like almost same exact conversation with a friend of mine a little while back. It's just like you finding that inner confidence and that inner happiness like everything is going to fall into place for you. It's not going to be about like, you could try faking it till you make it. And you can try like, if I just focus the eye on the prize, then I'm going to be fine. No, you got to find that, like, go really deep down and figure out what you want out of life, what's going to make you happy in life. And you're just like this perfect example of, I'm not happy, I need to fix this. And you made that decision for yourself. And I think people, it's sad because not a lot of people can see that they have a decision to be happy or not. And people, for some reason or another, decide not to be happy because they don't think they have that decision. And you're a very clear example of that.
Oh my gosh. How old are you, by the way?
I'm 22.
Okay. So every time I have someone of your age, I think the youngest that have been a part of my programs, my mastermind or my coaching or whatever, is usually around like the 22, 23 is usually like the youngest, but most people usually join my programs. I want to say like the 26 to 27 range. So I just want to give you the most big props in the whole entire world, because like someone of 22 years of age who understands this, you are leaps and bounds ahead of some. I have people who come into my programs and come to work with me that are in their late 60s who are just figuring this out. And they always say that they're so late. So when we see someone like yourself, every time I have like a retreat or a mastermind or something, some of the people my age, you know, I'll be 40 next year, they have, we say, we're like, oh my God, we're so excited. You're getting this so young. Like but I believe you have a gift. And I'm so glad that you have this podcast. And I'm so glad that you're sharing that with others, because not everyone understands this. God, some people don't ever understand this, but the fact that you understand that you are in control, like my whole brand, everything in my brand is decide it's your turn, whether it's the mastermind, the coaching, the podcast, whatever, it's decide it's your turn, because I truly believe that the minute you make a decision, you have to then follow it up with faith and action. But it's all a matter of decision. Everything is a matter of decision. And you are the only person who has the power to make that decision. And it's truly brilliant at 22 years of age that you understand that. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. I mean, I think for me, like that aha moment very quickly, and then we're going to go into all the crazy, amazing stuff.
No, please. I think this is important for your listeners.
It's just like, I guess like kind of getting, I don't know, I don't have the right wording right now because I'm kind of speechless at this point in the podcast, but like with parents are such a point of stress for certain, like for some kids, because it's like you always want to please your parents and you want to be on the track that they see for you, because that's what's going to make them happy. And they think, when my parents are happy, I'm going to be happy. But that's so not the case too. Because if I was going to do what my parents wanted me to do and to make them happy, I would be on my way to med school. I would not be in New York. I would have not like stopped golf. In like college, I would have kept playing, and on and on and on. And I could think of so many occasions where like, if my parents are happy, I'll be happy. And that's so not the case. But quickly, I want to get into everything.
That's so brilliant, though. I mean, we could go on and on, but that's so brilliant. And I do want parents who are listening to this, perhaps a parent listening to this, at the end of the day, your parents truly believe that they know what is going to make you happy. But the real matter of it is, and if none of your followers none of your listeners follow the holistic psychologist, she's truly brilliant, because even in my work, I really help us basically change the stories that our parents had. And that's really what we're all trying to do, is to just become our most authentic selves. And I just think that it's so brilliant that you understand that, guess what, you get to make the decisions for your life of what that is. And it doesn't mean your parents are good or bad. It just means that what their thoughts are, they want the best for you. Ultimately, every parent does, but you're the one who gets to make that decision. And I just think it's so brilliant that you understand that at such a young age. So again, congratulations, but ask the next question.
Thank you. I'm so appreciative. Like, oh, you're the kindest woman I've ever met. But besides that, so throughout like the past, like several years, obviously you've created this pretty awesome, I'm going to call it an empire of mindset and confidence through like all of your masterclasses and programs and your podcast and your business. So when like you had that aha moment and when you had that epiphany to become a coach and to help people lead their most profitable and like purposeful life, what were kind of the patterns that you were seeing from those clients that you were taking in and helping and kind of bringing under your wing? What were like those excuses that you constantly kept hearing?
There's so many excuses. I'm still going through those right now. I'm in the middle of launching my latest mastermind, and it's so interesting. Really, the pattern that comes through for three main objections to anything, where people, they know deep down within themselves that they truly want to change. Like, that is a truth of the matter. Most people would never follow me if they didn't know that they wanted something different. Most people would never get on a call with me or reach out to me on social media or whatever if they knew that deep down. And when I say deep down, it doesn't matter if you believe in God, source, universe, whatever. For me, it's, God. But at the end of the day, like, that small, still voice inside of yourself, that is like the thing. Like, that is the guiding light for your whole entire life. And most people, especially in this day and age, we push it away with, media, social media, food, drug, addiction, sex, whatever you choose, because most people are trying to numb themselves. So they stop listening to that still small voice. That still small voice is like the guidance of everything. It would put me out of job if people listen to it all the time. My job is to help you listen to that. And as a coach, my job is really to make sure I hold you accountable, consistent, motivated, and confident to listen to that still small voice. The thing that comes up for most people is the objection of money. That's number one. I shouldn't be spending this amount of money on myself. I don't have the money. I don't think it's the right time to invest in something like this. And I always look at it as, the objection is never money. Like, if someone wants something in life, they are going to figure it out. I mean, think about when we were kids, like, we sold lemonade in order to get something. We always figured a way in which to get something that we want. And really, truly doesn't matter the price point. But the thing is most people do not trust themselves to get the result that they actually want. Oftentimes the objection, we say it's money, but we're spending money on a phone, we're spending money on a bag, we're spending money on a vacation, we're spending money on, podcast equipment, a new computer, all the things. But at the end of the day, a person has, they don't trust themselves enough, because they say they want something and they've never gotten it, right? So you say you want to start your business, you say you want to lose the 10 pounds, but in your brain, you don't have any proof that that's possible. So you say that the money is the objection, when money is not the objection. The objection is that you don't trust yourself to do the thing that you want. So you look at the investment as a bad investment because it's never worked before. So that's the number one objection. It's not the money. You'll always figure it out if you want something bad enough. Mm-hmm. The second objection, I think, is most people don't say that they're not ready, or they're not ready to put themselves out there in public. That's the one thing that I think is probably the biggest thing that holds people back, because when you're wanting to do something that's in your soul, something that's in your heart, most people are afraid of what others are going to think. And like, who am I to be doing this? Imposter syndrome. Yes. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even yourself, like, I'm sure, when you started your podcast, when I started my podcast, my God, I've been on 100 podcast interviews, if not more. And when you started when I started my own podcast, I was like, who am I to be doing this? Who's going to listen to this? Should I be doing this? Do I have an experience to do this? Can I make this happen? Those are just things that, our brain tells us to keep us safe. But at the end of the day, you don't really want to be safe. You want to feel like a sense of uncomfortability, if that's a word, all the time, because that just means you're pushing yourself to the next level. And you just have to understand, do you want something bad enough? Most people say they want things bad enough, but they're not really willing to do the hard thing. Like, oftentimes I say, you have to, like, if you're building an online business, guess what? Most of the time you have to turn the camera on yourself and talk. Well, guess what? People are going to see that. Oftentimes people are like, I'll do whatever it takes, but I don't want to get on camera. I'm like, well, you won't do whatever it takes, because clearly you care more about what Joe Blow down the street or your mom or your mother-in-law thinks than you care about actually making the impact in the person's life. Mm-hmm. I think one of my biggest strengths is the fact that, like, I literally don't care if my whole entire world turned on me tomorrow. I would still show up every single day doing the thing that I know I'm put on this planet to do, which is impact and help other people. So, like, I'm not afraid of what Susie down the road, my mom, my brother, my mother-in-law thinks, because at the end of the day, I care more about the impact than I do about other people's opinions. And most of the time, I don't give someone a second thought if they're not in the arena with me. If you are if you're willing to turn the camera on yourself and do hard things, chances are you're not putting down someone else who's willing to take those risks as well.
I want to leave it at that because that was so like beautifully said. Yeah, there was a couple of things like that you had mentioned that just really struck a chord, especially with the financing and the money thing. Not only like making money, making people happy, which it totally doesn't, but people still don't know that, but that's besides the point. But people willing to make the investment into themselves. People are like, I mean, you've seen this, and like I've also seen this just among my like, college age group of friends and whatever. They're more willing to put down money on like the finer things in life, quote unquote, like handbags and like going out and like spending all this money on like things that are just things and not exactly investing in themselves, like in knowledge and in learning and like taking like your master classes or reading, or there's so many opportunities to improve yourself, like and invest in yourself, and people don't see that. And I think that is so important, and people do not see the value in investing them in themselves until like much later on in their life, which is
a perfect example. One of my youngest one-on-one clients, she has her master's in marine biology. She's about 27 years old, master's in marine biology. And she decided, instead of investing the next $25,000 or whatever it would have taken to go and get her doctorate, she decided to take that $25,000 and invest it in herself. And she worked with me, she worked with 2 other coaches, she had a program she was doing, and every single person said, "Oh my God, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Why would you take that money and invest in yourself?" Because we look at a tangible object, like a degree on the wall, as something that is like a better investment than investing in yourself. If I could tell every single solitary person who's listening to your podcast under the age of 25, if you are not 1 billion% convinced that that degree is exactly what you want, take that $15,000, take that $20,000. And I know that some people will this will irk them sideways, but that investment in yourself will be the best investment you've ever made in your life. I will guarantee you there is not a dime spent on yourself, investing in yourself, to figuring out who you are, what you love, what makes you happy, than a paper on the wall ever will. I wish someone would have told me that. People will max out their credit cards and take out a line of credit for an upgraded car, and yet people are afraid to spend $5,000 on themselves. It just doesn't make sense.
Because I think, and I don't want to blame it on society, but
totally,
society does a poor job on investing in yourself, because we see, and like you had mentioned, going back to social media, like we see people with these fancy cars and fancy outfits and like designer everything. And we think that's the standard, and investing in that is the standard. We don't, and we kind of sort of see like the successful people, but we don't like,
you don't see the hard part.
Yeah, you don't
do the hard part.
Exactly. And like people are just like, okay, well, that's them. Like they're put on this planet to do a lot more than I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna stick around to this. And it's just like, no, they're a person, like they poop, they're just another person just like you, but you just don't want to put in the work.
Exactly. And you don't want to put in the work, and you don't trust yourself. They don't trust themselves to do the work. That's oftentimes like the biggest thing. And that's why you've got to find a good program or a good coach, because the coach is like, our job as a coach is to keep you moving forward when you want to quit. Like, because every single one of us wants to quit. Why do you think I have a coach? I have a coach I pay a shit ton of money to each year, because I know that like I have a ton of skin in the game, and I know she's going to hold me accountable to doing the things that I sometimes don't want to do because they're scary and they're hard. And, growing this business is like a lot some days, but I know that I have a ton of skin in the game. And I also know that I have a ton of people, supporting me. And I also think that too, in the beginning, so oftentimes so many people just quit because they want the easy way out. There's no way in hell I want a 9-to-5 life. I don't have a 9-to-5 life. I don't have a 9-to-5. And there's nothing wrong with that if you do, but you just have to know exactly what you want. And if you don't want a 9-to-5 life, don't expect to have to put in a 9-to-5 in order to have an exceptional life.
Absolutely. That's like perfectly said. Good stuff. I want to ask you before like we end this fabulous episode.
Yeah.
So best advice that you could give anyone, and the best advice you have ever received yourself. what would those two things be?
So good. I think for me, like the best advice is just be yourself. You know, I know that sounds so weird, but for such a long time in my life, I was trying to be someone who I wasn't. And I think I know every single one of us was put on this planet for a purpose and a reason. And I think us trying to be anything but that is against the point, besides the point, you know. I think the minute I stepped into who I was, and whether that is, you know, obviously, as you can tell, I cuss and I say God in the same sentence. There's some people who are just
We're
like,
here for it. I love it.
and there's some people that just is total turn off to. But then there's some people who are like, who I have a lot of people that I have met over the years and have worked with that have come and found their faith because I don't put it in a certain box. And if I wasn't showing up as my most authentic self, then someone wouldn't have found that. And I think that oftentimes we're trying so hard to be someone who we're not. And I think the minute you can step into who you are in that moment, there's something beautiful in that. There's so much confidence in that. The best advice is should just be yourself. You know, I use that hashtag for such a long period of time. It's such a good hashtag too, but
it gets the job done. We love it.
It does. Just be yourself, you know. And I think for me, like, I think keeping my integrity and being who I am is so important to me. That's the one thing, you know, when you go to bed at night, when I go to bed at night, not everyone has to like me, not everyone has to approve with everything that I do. But at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter what comes up. I get to go to bed at night and go, you know what? I like me. And I think that there's something to be said about that. And I think when you have your integrity and you are being your most authentic self, there's not much that can derail you.
Perfect. And also the best advice that you have ever received yourself.
Be a sponge. That was a good one.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, be a sponge and take what you want and leave what you don't. I think that you can learn a lot from other people, what to do and what not to do. I think that that's a good one. Is, you know, not everything that you see is something that's the best fit for you. I think it goes back to just being yourself. So I think that that's an important one as well, is, you know, be a sponge, learn as much as you can, take what you want, leave what you don't, and be your most authentic self.
That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. Yeah, I was so thrown off when you said sponge. I'm like, what could that possibly mean? But
be a sponge, take it all in.
Absorb, yes, take it all in. That makes so much sense. Yeah, well, that about wraps things up. Christina, I just want to say thank you so much for coming today and talking. You are just the woman I aspire to become. You're like fabulous, seriously. And I'm going to be like including all of your handles and all of your like links and stuff in the comments below. So everybody could check out all the fabulous things that you are doing. But for the listeners, I hope you guys took something away, some good life wisdom and advice, and be sure to come back on Monday for another episode of the Pick Me Up with Eva Curie. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your week, and I will be seeing you all on Monday.